So we live in a social media age, and so we know very well what everyone's kind of doing all the time. In our faces is always some sort of thing happening that belittles our efforts. No matter what you do, you're exposed to the whole planet very easily. This is the age that we live in. You flick on Instagram, and I bet all of us are in the same. If we've kind of into the same thing, you have all your favorite lifters there, all the kind of top dudes and girls of the game, and you see their kind of workouts all the time. I know from my perspective, I've kind of gone down on myself a lot when I've kind of seen 16, 17, 18-year-old guys who are lifting more than me. You see that stuff and you're like, man, the hell, man, I'm 32 years old and there's an 18, 17-year-old guy out there who's deadlifting more than me. So very easily you can kind of get depressed, and very easily you can also get inspired by seeing your favorite lifters get after it and whatever. The craziest thing about the age that we live in right now is that not everyone's honest like you and me, maybe, right? You know exactly what you're doing, and I know exactly what I'm doing. And so with those thoughts and those, that knowledge, you kind of superimpose that onto what you're seeing, and you're like, all right, they're better, worse, or whatever. You kind of grade yourself continuously. It's an automatic process that happens in our brain. It's like you just judge people the moment you look at them. It's just automatic. People say don't judge. Man, if you don't judge, you don't think. Basically, it's just what happens. You see a lifter and you're like, okay. Automatically, you kind of think to yourself, where do I fit into this kind of planet? This is just the way our brain kind of works all the time. So oftentimes I see guys that are 10, 15 years younger than me, and I'm like, my God, they're better than me. So it's very easy to kind of get down on yourself with that. Especially if you're working really, really hard at it. And this is the thing that kind of gets me all the time. And this is maybe why people don't work out really, really hard. So if you work out really hard, say like me, and you put everything on YouTube like me, and there's a whole bunch of people that know what's happening. So you've put in a year worth of effort, really, really hard. You're kind of known as the guy that squats every single day. There comes like a certain amount of pressure associated with that. It might seem that way, that you need to get results. And so you might kind of want to push a little harder, or kind of deviate with some of your ideas, or maybe even consider doing some things that you didn't want to consider at the start of the journey, like drugs. Man, I can't have everyone know that I'm not improving with this Squat Everyday program. Why don't I just jump on some sort of like SARM, just real quick? I won't get that big, but my numbers will go up and I can justify my efforts. How much of that stuff really goes on in this industry, in this business? There's these weird ass compounds right now who my knowledge is limited with this stuff, but just kind of because you're around the game, you hear about this new thing called SARMs, what it can do, keep you basically looking like you're natural, but you really have a lot better strength potential and all that kind of thing. But how much of that stuff really goes on? So when you're in the public eye and you're somebody that people follow, people want to see progress. People want to see you get better, because if you don't get better over time, people are like, man, this guy's full of shit, right? So there's this immature way of looking at these type of things, social media. And this is why, man, I work in ED, man. And I just want to, I could give you 50 stories. Young people coming in, feeling depressed, feeling anxious, taking benzodiazepines, taking drugs to kind of, calm them down. We're living in an age of anxiety, essentially. Social media is great. Like I said, you can get inspired real quick, but you can also get real depressed real quick, because you're always kind of comparing yourself to what's happening in the world. And if the whole world was honest, that would make sense, because then you will get direct comparisons between you and some other people. The trick is there are tricksters, excuse the pun, there are tricksters, there are cheats out there who are doing things that are not what you're doing. And so there's no comparison. Like you're comparing apples and pears. If you see somebody who has not declared themselves as a steroid user or an enhanced athlete, and you're thinking to yourself, man, that person is lifting that much and I'm lifting, and they look about the same as me, you can't do that. You cannot do that. You must not do that. I beg you, man, just don't do that, because the moment you start comparing yourself to these images and these ideas from Instagram, from YouTube, it's a quick, sure way to get depressed and down on yourself. Because basically every single image on Instagram gets touched up. And this is we see a lot of this stuff in teenage girls, and young women. They're on Instagram, they see these wonderful pictures of these wonderful women, beautiful women, and they look at themselves in the mirror and they're like, what the hell is that, man? What is this shit? Why do I look so bad? But they're not thinking about what's happening in the production of that image. So this is like the disease, the side effect of social media. Where is the progress, man? Why am I not getting better? Why am I not looking prettier? Why am I not blah, 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 blah? You just put it on the dotted line, whatever you want to say. Where is the damn progress? Screw the progress and screw the comparisons. Sink your eyes to the floor and work, and only pay attention to yourself. Where was I last week? Where was I last month? Where was I last 6 months? Just compare yourself to yourself and just keep a track of your progress based on yourself, and make adjustments based on yourself. Treat this as your own private journey, and that is all that matters. You're going to get people from all sorts of sides saying, you're shit. I know a guy who's 10 years younger, who's stronger than you. That's cool, man. Good enough. Good for that guy. But we don't really know what that guy's doing. You guys don't even know what I'm doing, right? But I know what I'm doing, and I know exactly what I'm putting into my body and what I'm not putting into my body. And so this is the thing. You just can't trust nobody, man. I know for a fact that I don't even take protein supplements. You know what I mean? How many guys in the world can say that? How many guys can say that they've never touched a SARM or a steroid? Once you take steroids, I was listening to a guy the other day talk about it. Once you take a steroid, you are never, ever again going to be a natural athlete. Because there is, I forget now, I think it's nucleus overload training. So basically it's kind of like that kind of theory. When you take steroids, your body makes more nuclei, right? Which once you stop taking steroids, they don't disappear. So they're always going to be there. So your potential for mass and strength is always going to be higher than somebody that's never touched steroids ever. So Lasha comes to my mind right away, right? Lasha, probably the GOAT of all weightlifting, smashing records in the World Championships. It was a World or European Championships. I can't remember, a few weeks ago. I think 264 he clean and jerked. Man, it looked like he was like 90% of his max. Apparently, he tested positive in 2013 or something for PEDs, and then since then he hasn't been tested again. So I'm supposed to sit here and be like, oh man, Lasha is somebody I look up to. How do you say that? How do you come to that conclusion? The point is, the guys at the top do it, the guys in between do it, the guys at the bottom do it. Everyone is potentially doing something. This is why my message to you is, don't worry about anybody. Focus on yourself and listen to positive energy. If somebody's stronger than you, that's okay. You try and take some of the lessons from that and you apply it to yourself. But don't think to yourself, I'm shit and I'm not progressing. Progress will come if you make sure you rock up every day, you train every day, you work out hard every day, not every single day, but whatever your regimen is, and you're thinking about your process all the time. It's just a matter of time. Just don't get down on yourself because what's happening on social media. All right, guys, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.